very simple sardines with salad. Now I'm going to use, you can use lovely old salsa salads, doesn't really matter. I'm just going to use a nice little selection of lettuces here, and I'm going to grill what is arguably the most important fish on earth. It probably is competing with the herring on this title, but it's the sardine. These again are the plankton eaters, the kind of fish that have probably the best, on the fish species, the best omega-3 fatty acids, the EPA, DHA, and also they're easily the most sustainable because they're very low on the food chain, very, very low levels of mercury, any heavy metals, things like that. They're really a perfect dish. Sardines all over the Mediterranean, around the world, in those regions where you have sardines, they very rapidly become staples. Unfortunately though, enormous amounts of sardines nowadays are used as animal feed and for silly things, because this is the kind of fish the ocean can provide a lot of, sustainably and well, and it's just the kind of fish that is just so good for us. These are lovely small sardines, you can get much bigger ones. It's what you can get. The main thing is that they're nice and fresh. And I'm going to do kind of a twist on a kind of a classic kind of Mediterranean way of approaching these fish. Now, bearing in mind we're cooking anti-inflammatory, and I'm trying to always avoid too much heat. So I'm going to do something that they don't do in these countries, which is lightly poach the fish first, and that's to preserve those fats. When you overheat omega-3 fatty acids, they denature, and they become from probably the best thing you can eat to one of the worst things you can eat. So we're always trying to protect those fats. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in water, just a tiny drop, just to kind of start them off, and then we're going to finish under the grill to still get the nice grilled texture. And I find this works very, very well with this technique. Again, it's all about preserving those fats. That's my goal here. So what I'm going to do first of all is make kind of a baste for the top of the sardine. And I'm going to use the mortar and pestle. You could just chop this by hand, or you could use a food processor. But again, I like the mortar and pestle. I think it just develops the flavour a little bit more. And into that, I'm just going to add a pinch of salt, grainy salt, and using a nice local kind of a sea salt. Not too much of a rock salt, but a nice grainy one. I've roughly chopped up 4 cloves of garlic, because this is a garlicky dish. I've got 300 grams of sardines. I'm just going to crush up my garlic, mince it up in the mortar and pestle. And as that's doing, I have my little pan here. And I'm not going to cook the sardine completely in the water. I'm just kind of giving it a head start, again, with the view to protecting those fats. So when you get a nice garlic paste, and then going to take a little bit of parsley, a little bit of oregano. Just going to roughly chop those up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop those into the pestle and water and just crush them up. And again, this is why I like this. I tend to pull out the oils from the mortar and pestle much better than the food processor, and you just tend to get just a much better flavour. So it's just, but again, it's what's convenient for yourself. And you can almost get those lovely smells. Now into that, I'm going to use a good olive oil. And I've used about 2 tablespoons of olive oil into this mixture. I'm just going to crush all those in together. So I have a nice kind of olivey, herby, garlicky paste. And then what I'm going to do is just going to put that there for a minute. You can probably see that there. So it's quite solid, and it's just that nice kind of a paste. Then my sardines. Now, a good thing with your sardines is, especially the oily fish, but all fish, as I often say, domestic fridges don't tend to hold your fish cold enough. Use ice cubes. Put them on top of the fish as you're storing it. Keep it nice and cold. These are lovely little sardines. They do have a heavy scale on them. Make sure the scale is removed, and I've just gutted them out as well. Your fishmonger will do that for you, no problem at all. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this marinade or this paste, pop it on the sardine, all of it, and just get in there with your hands, and I'm going to kind of just cover and coat my sardines with that paste. Then what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to just get that nice garlicky paste all over the sardines, inside and everywhere. So you have a nice flavour there. And then the next job I'm going to do is just a drop of water, about half a cup. I'm going to pop onto my pan, very, very little. And I'm then just going to rest my sardines into that water. Now you don't want to submerge them. I'm just going to put them here. So I'm just putting my sardines onto the water, as you can see. It's not swamped, it's just a little drop of water. And again, the goal here, preserving those oils. And I'm just going to lay out the sardines, and then as that's cooking away, you get that lovely distinctive sardine kind of smell here. Just going to lay them out nice and neatly. Take a spoon, any surplus marinade, just gently put it on top of the sardine and kind of spread it out over the tops of the sardines. So that water is just going to evaporate off itself. And then let that just cook for a second there. There's a little bit too much water on it. I'm just going to drain off a little bit more of it, because I don't want much. And as you can see, that fish is just nicely, just a little bit of that coating on top of it. The fish is actually almost cooked from the bottom half, preserving those oils. And then I'm going to get a good piece of very, very good quality rock salt again. And just put a little piece onto each sardine. It's this little salty garlic herb crunch that you want to get. And you have to use a good, like a Maldon salt, or that fleur de sel is what they call it, that kind of flaky kind of salt. So just a little piece of the salt on top of each one of those. And then what I'm going to do is pop those under a very, very hot grill, just to get the top and just to cook and still get the benefit of that nice grilled, roasty taste. So I'm just going to pop that on top and let those cook under the grill until they get nice and charry. As they're cooking, I'll just take these things out of the way. And just my red onions there, which we'll be using in a little while. I'm just going to prepare my salad, because the sardines will only take a few seconds to do. So as I was using the fish, I'm just going to reverse my chopping board. And I just have some nice salad lettuces here and so on. So I'm just going to tear them just a little bit, pop them in a bowl, build it up into just a nice simple, I'm just using the leaves, you could use whatever you like in here. It's just a nice little simple accompaniment to go with the sardines. And as you can see, the sardines will just be grilling away as you're doing this. Very, very quick, almost fast foody kind of dish. And then to make a simple dressing, I'm going to use about 3 parts of a good olive oil. First of all, actually I'm going to use 1 part, about 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. A little bit of black pepper. Pinch of salt. Give that a nice little whisk, because it's always best to add the seasoning into the vinegar, because it doesn't add into the oil. And then about 4 tablespoons of your good olive oil. twist those about. And that's all to my dressing. Balsamic, good olive oil, a good balsamic vinegar, and a pinch of salt and pepper. That's all you need for a dressing. You don't have to be complicated with these things. And now, I'm just going to pull out my sardines, which are just cooking nicely. Very, very close. And I'm just going to allow them cook away for just a second more, and then it's only a case of just serving this all together. Let people, I'm going to actually use the pan if you have a nice decorative pan, or you could put it on the plate, it's whatever suits. People can just take the sardines as they like, a little bit of salad. It's perfect like that. So, my sardines just took about 4 or 5 minutes to grill, if even. As you can see, there's a little bit of water, but again, I've managed to preserve a lot of those fats and oils in it. There we go. Just a very, very simple little grilled sardine. As you can see, I only used a drop of water, but it makes a very good benefit to this. Serve maybe a little piece of lemon on the side. And that's pretty much it. A lovely, simple salad with sardines. And just allow people to take it as they feel themselves. And a very, very omega-3, sustainable, rich little dish. And finally, I'm just going to add a little bit of my dressing over my salad. And just take my red onions and just sprinkle them randomly over my fish as well. Let them take on a little bit of the flavour. And that's all that's to it. A great, simple little dish of sardines.